Introduce yourself. A lot of people know who you are, but just kind of let people know if they don't.
Yeah, so Brandon Shoupe, I've been in politics now for a little over 10 years. Lifelong Republican. One of my earliest memories is of George W. Bush losing. The political memories is
Mhm.
losing the election in '92, and I just couldn't believe that. Oh my gosh, Bill Clinton won. I didn't think this was supposed to happen.
And how old were you then?
I guess about 12 or 13. I remember Reagan. Remember the Challenger, disaster and the
Hmm.
and the speech that he gave. I don't remember what he said, but I just remember that event, and so just been a fan of his, for my entire life.
So even that's even one of my questions I had for you. You've been interested in politics, it seems, your entire life.
Yeah, yeah.
So did you grow up in Dothan? Were your parents big into politics?
No, I mean, they were politically knowledgeable.
Hmm.
Watched the news. This is back in the day when the news, was somewhat true. Remember that CBS, that sort of drumbeat or whatever it had as the news was coming on. Like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, this is the news. I'm going to, learn something interesting today. And of course, now it's all opinions. And actually, I don't watch the news that much. It's just all opinions, and I don't want anybody else tell me what I need to think. I just sort of like to think for myself.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you said you've been in politics for about 10 years now, did you start just on the commission? Because now you're the chairman. Is
Yes.
that where you started?
Yeah. Started on the commission. Was elected in 2014. I was 34 years old at the time and 45 now, and been the chairman for a little over 2 years. I remember, when I got elected in 2014, Chairman Culver at the time, he said, he told me some things I didn't know.
Mhm.
That number one, that we got a retirement. I mean, I totally did not know that until after I won.
Like a retirement.
If you stayed on the commission 10 years, you would be fully vested in Alabama's pension system. Not fully vested, you'd be vested in the pension system.
Oh,
And I was like, I'm not going to be here 10 years.
look at you
Look at
now.
me now.
So, what would you say your favorite part about being chairman of Houston County is?
Uh, when you run, hopefully anybody that runs has some things that they see that need to be accomplished. And I'm not saying that anybody, the existing people were right or wrong or whatever. It's just that you see, things that maybe others don't see, and you see that it's importance that maybe other people don't see the importance of. And so, that's why I ran. I wanted to move the county in a certain direction. It's difficult to do that as a commissioner, not impossible, but very difficult. And so after a while, I just determined that, okay, if I'm going to really have the impact that I feel I need to have. I need to run for chairman, and so and thank goodness, Chairman Culver decided to step away because,
I mean, people seem to love you. You've been doing it for a few years now.
well, you've been talking to the right people because not everybody loves me. It's just the nature of the beast in politics. You have to tell people no.
Yeah.
And I've had to tell people that have given me money and been some more staunch supporters no, because at the end of the day, I just thought it was the wrong thing to do, and sometimes that can get in the way of friendships. That took some getting used to. I tell you, I like to think back about Chairman Culver all the time. My respect for him has gone up tremendously since stepping into this role and realizing just how difficult it is. Of course, it's easy to think it's easy when you're an armchair quarterback. And then when you step in the game, you realize, oh, crap, this is actually much more difficult than I imagined. And Culver always took it in stride, and never let things bother him. And I think I wish I had that superhuman streak because I certainly let things bother me more than
How
things
long
bothered
did he
him.
do it for?
I'm going to get in trouble. He's going to be mad at me, but he was elected to the commission when he was 29 and I was a kindergartner. And so I replaced him when he retired when I was 34. So he was on the commission for a while. I think he became chairman in
So
'97.
you've still got a little bit of time before you kind
I
of
will
reached
not
up.
be around that long. I
You
will not.
don't. So
No,
you think you're gonna go somewhere else, or what are
I
your
don't know. I
plans?
don't know. I've never wanted to be a lifelong politician. Maybe I fantasize, but I dream about going back into business. I would love to have an opportunity to run a sizable company one day. Obviously, the county is a sizable operation.
Yeah.
It's different. It's not private business, so don't get me wrong. But I dream about that, but I don't know. We'll see. But no, I have no plans to be the county chairman forever. Not going to happen.
It's gonna be a sad day when you leave.
No, I don't think so. I ran because I have things I want to do, and at some point, what I come into office to do, I will either get done or realize they're impossible, at least impossible for me to get done, and it'll be time for somebody else to step in that role. You want to have people in local office that are enthusiastic about what they do because it can grind you down after a while. So you want to have people that's full of enthusiasm because it's incredibly difficult competing against, and I say competing, it's friendly competition, but we're
Mhm.
still competing against sometimes surrounding counties, certainly counties from other parts of the state. The power in Alabama has shifted from the southern central part of the state to the northern part of the state. There's no denying that. And so it's difficult to get things accomplished sometimes.
Are
And
you talking
so
about like money for this area or what? Just
money, influence, things that are important to us may not be important to those folks, around Huntsville, and things that are important to them,
might not.
really don't float our boat, so to speak. So, there's been a lot of money invested in the Port of Mobile, and that has an impact on our area. We're
Hmm.
not like we don't feel the effects, but we just don't feel it as much. And so, we want things to be invested in our area, and we've had some opportunities that I think, and in my opinion, know that we were the best place in the state for, but for political reasons, they went elsewhere, and that could be disappointing and frustrating.
Can you share any of those things?
I will share that one day.
One day, but not
Yeah,
today. I
not
can't get an
today.
exclusive.
Maybe one day, but some of those people are still in power, and
Okay, yeah,
I have a
maybe not.
job. I have a job to do.
So, in the coming, or as you said, things happening in Houston County for the coming 2025 year, what's in store? What ideas, plans do you have?
We've got a lot in store this year. We're paving about $8.5 million worth of roads, and now that's not. It sounds like a big number, but it's not going to go very far. It's a little over 50 miles of roads. It costs a little over $160,000 per mile now to resurface 1 mile of road. So we're doing that. We were going to do some of that last year, but we had the tornado, a lot of cleanup in Cottonwood, and it really kind of bogged down our road and bridge department. Because
Hmm.
anytime we have a disaster, our first, the top priority item is going to be to recover from that disaster. So we had that. We had one loss of life, which is extremely unfortunate, but it could have been much worse. So we spent several months recovering from that. So this year it's all about resurfacing, and so we're going to try to get caught up on the roads.
The
Uh,
circle by chance?
this confuses a lot of people, but we don't have any purview over the circle.
Is that
So
the city of
that's
Dothan?
that's a state. That's a state
Oh,
highway.
so
The
the
circle.
state's just not wanting. I'm confused. I've been in Dothan for about 2-ish years
Yeah.
now, and it's always been how long when did it start?
The construction. This goes back to probably 15 years ago. There was some money earmarked for an I-10 connector, and it was supposed to connect basically I-10 and tie into 231 north of Dothan. So limited access, interstate highway. And the money that was earmarked for that was not enough to actually construct the highway. It was just kind of study and get things started. And there, I think, much to my disappointment, the powers that be could never figure out where exactly that needed to go. And even if they would have agreed on a route, it's still there's still a good chance it would have never been funded by Congress. But it's easy to pull the plug on something when the local leaders can't agree on a route, and so we couldn't agree on a route. So that project sort of went away, but the money didn't go away. I think President Obama at the time was trying to unearmark some of those funds and use for other reasons. And I think it was Mike Schmitz was involved in this, the mayor at the time. I think Paul Lee was involved with this, and there's others that I, just have forgotten about and don't remember. They, spoke to our federal leaders and said, "Hey, this is earmarked for the I-10 connector, but we really need to expand capacity on the circle." And so that money was allowed to be unearmarked for the I-10 and then re-earmarked for the circle capacity expansion. And they had to design it. They had to acquire right away. That's a slow process. Then they had
Hmm.
to move utilities. That's a slow process. And then they could actually start the work. And that's really where we start to come in, where it impacts our ability to travel.
And right now they're doing there is it are they in the utility work process? Because
No,
I see
they're
they're
expanding. They're building the roadway
it's
now.
done. It's this is well, not done, obviously, but you're thinking we're maybe inching towards the finish
I think
line?
so. Hopefully, a year from now it'll be done.
A year
That's
from
my
what
hope.
is that then? 16 years in the making?
Yeah, but nothing moves fast in politics, and that's one thing you have to. One thing you learn pretty quickly is that projects that we're starting now, you know, maybe I will live to see the completion of them. That's literally how long it could take, and so we make plans and we do the best we can, but the ground shifts sometimes, and you got to call an audible, just like with the I-10 connector. So that was wise at the time for those leaders at the time to get that money moved to the circle, because it's unfortunate, it's frustrating, but it had to happen. It's easy to forget how crowded and congested the circle
I will
was.
say that's a point too. I
Yeah,
was never here when it was. I know Dothan has expanded and grown immensely in the past 10,
yeah.
15 years. So I can't really speak on what it was like before.
It was. I mean, Dothan the circle during spring break was a nightmare. Uh, go back to answer your question, other things we're working on the farm center. That's been a multi-year project, but it will be done a year from now. And the construction company, they're moving pretty quickly. And I think matter of fact, I know it's something that the community is going to be extremely proud of. I look forward to having a ribbon cutting and inviting the community to come check out the brand new Houston County Farm Center. Very much look forward to that.
I know y'all had a meeting last night in Wicksburg, state of Houston County,
Yeah.
and you're having one again tonight.
So the state of Houston County is a separate thing that we do at the chamber. The mayor and I, he does the state of the city, and I do
Yeah,
the state
I
of the
went to that
county.
one.
Yeah, yeah. So what we're doing now is we're doing county conversations, and it's just a way to interact with the folks. In their neck of the woods, so to speak. We originally had four drawn up. We had to postpone the one in district uh, in district. Let's see, that's District 1. We had to postpone that one. I hope we can reschedule that one day. Commissioner Harvey had some personal things that sort of come up, and we had to push that one. But we've had two. We had a really good crowd in Rehoboth. That's District 3, and
Mhm.
then we had the one last night in Wicksburg, which is part of District 4. And the crowds grew. I'm hoping that the one in District 2 at the Farm Center is going to be the biggest and best yet.
So, but if the farm center's not done, so where?
Well, we have some buildings at the Farm Center. They the metal buildings that we've kind of closed down. One is a polling location. We're going to preserve that building until we can replace it, because I love the idea of having a polling location at the Farm Center. And so
Cool.
but we don't allow other people to lease that building for other events. We just are not set up to do that anymore.
Okay.
But it's going to be in that building, and hopefully we'll have a good crowd.
I'm excited for you. And
Yeah.
then one of my final questions for you, since you've been the chairman, what has been your most rewarding or favorite experience?
That's a good question. It's going to be difficult to answer because there's been a lot of rewarding experiences. I mean, I absolutely love my job. Now, certainly, I've had some bad days and taken some lumps, and some days are not as enjoyable as others. But just a lot of things. Just the simple things. I'll give you an example. Like, I love going to senior centers and speaking to the seniors, because they're just so happy to see you. And they also cook pretty good food
That is
sometimes too.
true.
That's a bonus. And you get to visit with them, and they freely share with you their concerns, and sometimes you can do something about it, and sometimes you can't.
That is one thing about seniors. They're going to say what they're
They
thinking.
are, they are. And for years I've been going to Baptist Village, and because I was a district commissioner for that area, and they kept complaining about the need for a traffic light right there outside of Baptist Village between them and Publix, because they were getting in accidents, almost getting in accidents. It was a nightmare. And that's not a county road, that's a city road. So every time I'd go, I'd listen to complaints, and so I'd always talk to the mayor, talk to the commissioner, city commissioner at the time, which have been a couple over the years. And finally, the city decided to do that. And I didn't make that decision. I didn't spend that money. I just made some phone calls. But every time they see me, they thank me for that light. And so that is extremely rewarding. Going to see the good folks out in Gordon. That was not in my original district.
Where
But
is Gordon?
Gordon is. I tell people, I joke. You go get on 84, and right before you get to Georgia, hang a left. It's right there on the right.
All right, good to know.
Yeah. So it's a little ways out there, but those people again are always so happy to see you. A lot of poverty in that area, but they're very appreciative of everything that you can do, which sometimes is not really a whole lot. We have a project in the works for them out there. Again, it's not a big project, but we're proud of it. They're going to be proud of it, and we hope to announce that pretty soon.
That's good. So mainly, to summarize it, community involvement has been your favorite
Yeah,
part.
you get to touch people's lives and make a difference. And that traffic light, at at the senior center at Baptist Village is not important to most people. But for the people that live there, that retirement home, that's extremely important.
It saves lives. If you said there's been wrecks and whatnot,
Yeah,
injuries.
yeah, yeah. So, you get to touch people's lives and you get to see the fruits of your labor. And that to me is the most rewarding thing. And, the folks in Congress, I know they do the best they can. And I guess they get to see the fruits of their labor. But when you're a local elected official and you get to have a direct impact and see that directly and come into contact on a daily basis, the people's whose life you've impacted, to me, that's the most rewarding thing.
Awesome. My final question for you is if you want to share your socials for anyone who maybe wants to follow you, if you post updates about what's going on in Houston County or anything like that.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. I'm on Facebook. If you just Google me, it'll come up. I'm on Twitter. I'm not super active on Twitter. I'm trying to get more active on Instagram and TikTok. And
I'm not going to lie, you've popped up on my TikTok and I
yeah,
was